Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another metabolic conditioning workout. Now, hopefully, this is the very last day we deal with this microphone issue. New microphone is out for delivery. I should have it today. Hopefully, my voiceovers for the training footage get a lot better from here. So, you guys just bear with me. This is going to be an abbreviated session. I have some errands I need to run here down the street this morning, so I think I'm just going to put on a backpack and go sort those, but I wanted to do at least 10 minutes of my normal Metcon work today before I go throw my backpack on to take care of this other stuff, simply because, again, I don't want to just do that and have that be my only real conditioning for the day. Because walking even with a backpack on is just it's less intense than this, and we need to get something in. So I thought, let me just do 4 good rounds, which would put me past 10 minutes of continuous work, get a little bit of training in, and not a big deal because my work density is really high on my other stuff of the week, and I'll put in more volume on this on the weekend like I did this last weekend. We'll hit some 19, 20-minute ones on the weekend, but I wanted to get in and do something. I wanted to do something. And it's not bad to do this in the middle of the week. I have other stuff I've got to get sorted out. And like I said, it's a good excuse for me to throw on a backpack because I only have to go about a mile down the street and then back. So I thought I would do it that way. And again, just a nice abbreviated one, a little 10-minute one, just to get something in first. So one of the things that people are bringing up too, they're like, oh man, the chin-ups. Actually, guys, if we watch the chin-ups when I get to those, I'm actually going all the way down until my scapula pull apart. That's actually my full range of motion. Now, how it looks on camera these days is hard to tell, but as I've been doing my 100 chin-up a day experiment, I've been focusing on actually going all the way down for me at the bottom, but that is actually literally my full range of motion. That's dead hang. Now that might still mean that my arms are not fully locked out, but again, I can only lock my arms so far. They are what they are. And again, you guys have seen me do dead hang chin-ups with 100 pounds of plates hanging, and my elbows only extend as far as they extend at a dead hang. And if my body weight plus 100 pounds cannot physically pull them further than that, then that's it. That's all I can do. So as we get over there, I guess I'll watch it this time and see what happens. But I was very conscious on all of these to go all the way down to the extent of my range of motion, which for me is basically a dead hang. And that's how I do most of my chin ups right now. For my 100 a day, that is actually how I do most of them. I just go down as low as I can. But, we're obviously trying to get as much of the bicep range of motion as I can physically do. So there we go. I'm going to come all the way down there. Yeah, see, that's for me. And I know people are looking at the left elbow. That's actually my full range of motion. I can't go any lower because I'm actually pulling my scapula apart at the bottom. So if you watch that, that's literally as far as I can go. And there's no mobility you can do for that. Like people will see stuff like that and they'll say, "Oh, can't you just do mobility?" It's like if a 300 pounds of stretch weight can't pull me further, what mobility do you think I could possibly do? Part of that though may have to do with the fact that I'm using a narrow grip and I have really, really wide collarbone. A lot of my structure, when people think my structure looks funny, is part of it has to do with the fact that my rib cage and collarbone and everything are above average size. So it gives certain proportions. It is what it is. But part of that is I do have a really, really wide collarbone, and I always have. So maybe because I use a lot of narrow grip on stuff, that matters on that. Probably a factor. But when I go really, really wide on anything, it's hard on my shoulders. So why do it? Why do it? No point in doing that. We're still working all of our muscles. We're getting our best strength curves, and I tend to be stronger with narrow grips. I'm stronger on chin-ups with a narrow grip. I'm stronger on overhead pressing with a narrow grip now. I'm even stronger on bench press. So even though, and it ends up being a longer range of motion technically, but I get more muscle mass involved. So those are just my mechanics. You just have to deal with it. So again, it's ended up just being my 4 rounds. So it's not a lot of work. It's enough to just get my heart rate up, get the conditioning going. And by the way, lately I've been hitting the ban button all day. I don't know what happened to whatever the memo has been, somewhere, whatever, trolling videos, people talking about, oh, you're sucking your gut in. You guys have seen inside my guts. You've seen my DEXA scan. What you guys think of as a gut is not fat under your skin, right? What you guys see for me, you see my subcutaneous fat, you see the loose skin. I don't technically have a gut, and it doesn't mean that I'm ultra lean. A lot of ultra lean bodybuilders have a gut, but technically, we know you guys have seen inside me with scans. I don't actually have one in there, and it doesn't mean that I'm really lean. It has nothing to do with it. It just has to do with the fact that I don't eat junk food, and I don't pen insulin, and I don't use growth hormone. Right? That's it. That's the only reason I don't have a gut. Because I had low visceral fat even when I was 23% body fat. Right? Remember on the DEXA scan where I was 23%? My visceral fat was unusually low, and as I dieted down later, it got really, really low. I'm in the bottom percentile. All that tells you, this should tell you guys a lot, really. It tells you guys that even when I gain fat, I'm gaining fat on a fairly clean diet, which means that I eat a ton of food. I'm an overeater, right? That tells you a lot about me as a person. It says, okay, this guy has a really voracious appetite and probably has some issues with binge eating historically because I tend to get fat even on clean foods. Okay, it should tell you a lot about me. It's just not there. So the ridiculousness of that, I just make them go away. But just making the comment there that people don't seem to grasp that is nothing to do with sucking anything in. I don't have anything there to suck in. I don't have the gut under there. And it's just organs, just the organ difference. I carry my fat under my skin. You guys can see it, right? You can see it. It's all visible. And you can't suck the skin and the fat in that's there. It's right out in the open. So just a little side note, you guys need to understand the difference on that. But that, again, tells you a lot about a person's diet. It tells you a lot about what sort of substances they put in their body when you see those scans and you look at the ones where they give their visceral fat. And usually you'll see the guys who abuse a lot of stuff, they'll hide those. When they do share their DEXA scans, you'll notice some of these lean guys, they won't show you any printouts of their internal, right? And that's very, very telling. And even the technicians who work at these places and the dietitians there will tell you the same thing. We can tell what your diet looks like by looking at your ratios there. We can tell what you do to your body. Because a calorie deficit will get you lean. Calorie deficit, calorie surplus, that's what's going to determine mostly what's under your skin. It's going to be the quality of your diet. And certain aspects of your lifestyle are what's going to show around those organs. Just something to be aware of, guys. So for me, that's actually really low. I'm disproportionate in the other direction. I tend to have very, very little fat around my organs relative to what I have outside that you can see. But even then, that's slowly coming down. Do we really need to talk about Metcon work today? What the whole point is? We've covered that a lot lately, and I can keep talking about it more. But again, this is an abbreviated session. It's here just so it's documented so that you guys do see that I do 3 of these every week. Obviously, during deload weeks, I'm not necessarily going to be filming deload weeks, things like that, because I tend to use those weeks to deal with other aspects of my life as well. And so I actually am completely away from work. And people have probably figured that out too. When I'm deloading, I don't turn a camera on at all for anything. That's when I live my life away from the camera during my deload weeks, because it's my time off from work, and that includes training. So again, some people may have figured that out. They notice those actually the videos that get uploaded during deload weeks aren't even obviously filmed on the same day. And that's normal for me because I take time off from my work. I go out of work mode because I want to completely de-stress. I want to completely de-stress when I deload. And it doesn't mean I don't do any exercising. I mean, I'll do chin-ups. I'll do some band work. I mean, I'll do some one-legged step-ups and stuff. But they're not the way that I do it here, right? It's not going to be Metcon work. It's not going to be structured programming. It's just some mobility stuff and to stay moving and to do some chins or some push-ups just to keep everything active. But that's how I do deloads these days, and they happen periodically. So these won't be filmed then, but they are obviously going to be filmed the rest of the time. So what we'll be seeing when I'm not deloading, this is going to continue 7 days a week. Even if I do an abbreviated one, I'm going to get in and do a 10 or a 12-minute Metcon session, even on an abbreviated day where I have other stuff I need to sort out that's going to have me up and active. But again, so that I'm doing at least something that's training, because just a walk with a backpack is not going to count as true conditioning. It's a minor aspect. But if I do this first to warm up for it, and then voiceover, then go sort all that out, I've warmed up to it with this, so that actually might make it a little bit more work. So again, I'll go ahead and close this up and then finish it up, and you guys can see the last bit of this. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.